Hi there. Welcome to the stream. I guess this is working. So, been off for about 2 weeks. Just had to take a break. And, I guess it's not working. So I'll be doing virtual reality sculpting tonight in my favorite current VR program, which is Medium. I haven't actually really been playing much in the way of VR games. But I'm really excited to use Medium as a new interactive way of creating content. So I've been working on this stuff for a couple of years now, about 20 actually. I've been in the video game industry for about 10, and in the simulation and training and NASA and various branches of the military world for around 8 years. So altogether, 8, 9, 10, 19, 20 years almost. I'm also doing virtual reality, actually not virtual reality, I'm doing like generative design stuff where I basically put in the underlying object and then I generate with some mathematic structures sculpture. That's pretty cool, and I've been using that for creating patient-specific braces and orthotics and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of 3D printing lately, and tonight's sculpture is going to be a continuance of this. This is my Sylvanas sort of clamp-styled anime character. She's exclusively created in voxel inside Medium. And then I worked on her in ZBrush to refine her basic anatomy and structure, and I also got some of the pose the way I wanted it. And then I brought it back into Medium to continue on with the putting on of various clothing and making props and that kind of stuff, and hair. There's a lot of cool things you can do in voxel that you can't really do that easily in ZBrush. When you can, but it's just like more fun to play with it in Medium. And the second ZBrush has like a version of that works in VR, I will totally be in there. Even if I have to use a pen tablet or somehow figure that out. But being able to walk or get close to your object, be able to actually view your object in the round in 3D is so much more intuitive. So as a sculptor, it's really exciting stuff. All right, so enough of that. Time to get into the actual sculpture. So let me switch over to Bobbity-Ba. And let's get this a little bit bigger. There we go. Cool. All right, and I'll switch off my glasses. This is the moment when, if you were to be in a journey to imagination or whatnot, you switch off your regular glasses into your special glasses, your magical glasses that seem to be slightly blurry. Hold on. Fix that. So I'm actually bringing this chat room up so I can actually see if you guys are saying anything to me. So feel free to join me in the chat as I sculpt. And if you happen to have an Oculus and you want to sculpt along with me, I'm willing to try out Medium's shared workspace. I have no idea what that is and whether or not it'll like bog down both of our computers. But hell, I mean, I'm not making any money doing this, so what the hell? Let's try it. Just ping me or direct message me. Or add me on Instagram, direct message me there, and I will get back to you, and we will set up maybe next week for real-time studio dual stream or something like that. Alright. And again, if music is too loud, I've got like a sort of a background crazy ambient music. I can turn that down. Alright. Yeah, let me Update information. Let's get over to our live stream so we can see what the hell we're actually doing. There's my channel. Cool. And I have to watch an ad. Nope. No, thank you. Alright. Okay, so let me get the dashboard away and let's move back a little bit so we can see what we're doing. So it looks like we already have a breastplate on. Booty is still exposed. Scaling, and let's see, what did we have last time? We must have used that color, obviously. Probably use that box, and maybe put it on the surface. To the surface, okay. And the surface will actually just stick whatever I'm putting on here on the surface below it, wherever I'm projecting onto it. I'm going to bring up some add image. I don't know why the images didn't come up from last time. PC, desktop. Let's see. That looks kind of cool. Let's add that one. Ooh, yeah. Now, obviously, not quite the anime style that I'm looking for. Not very clamp-like. A little bit. Alright, so. Definitely has a neat little underwire thing, which I ignored. And I need to fix that. Actually, looks like we are not using the metal in the proper way, so I need to fix that. Let's hit some paint brush. And what's it here? Can we? No, we cannot. Cannot sample from various things. Yeah, it's close. Again, this is all just sort of rough, playing around with the shapes and colors to get an overall feel, and then I'll bring it into ZBrush to finish it. And it's matching her hair a little bit, so the gold of the hair and the gold of the model. And if I 3D print this, well, I could do it in color, but they don't have metallic inks and voxel printing just yet. I see probably in the future we'll have that kind of thing, but right now we have CYMK plus transparency, and not a whole lot of ways of controlling that either. So just let's go back in here. It doesn't have to be perfect, just gotta get a basic idea. Alright, so there's a cool little loopy-loop over there. I have no idea how her bra is supposed to stay on, but let me change the background. Alright, let me change, sorry, I have to think what I'm doing here. Cow. Let's move the cow and just turn that off for a little bit. Okay, back to the bra. It looks like it started to do something to it last time. Alright, I had an idea what I was doing. Looks like she's got like little feather or arrows hanging off the bottom. That's kind of cool. bad boy up in here. It's got some neat depth to it. It's oops. That's damn sloppy. Fortunately, I don't think it's actually on that layer. Come on. There we go. That's much better. Be careful how I'm spreading the joy here. Oops. Alright, let's try this around here. It's kind of like if you're making a pie crust and you're just sort of laying out like where the top of the pie is going to roughly go, and then you come back later and like shave off pieces with a knife. It's kind of like that. With a knife. I'm going to talk to the cat. No, the cat's not here yet. I'm going to talk to the chat room. Hello. Hello. Oh, that's interesting. Hello. Cats. Alright. Wait, what? No. Where I thought that was going to go. Hello, cats. H. E. L. O. Hello. Cat. That cat's up. Enter. Why is that not working? That sucks. Alright, well. Apparently, chat room does not. Oh, it did work. Hello, cats. Hello, cats. I just don't know what I'm doing. Right, sorry. That was redundant. Where were we? I was trying to figure out technology, and technology worked. So let's take this thingy here. There's the scene graph. You over there, you over here. Ah, there's our scene graph. Alright. Oops, wrong color. Here and continue along with our sculpting of the. Oops, not that. Ugh. Hey, what's that? No, that's not what I wanted at all. Let's put a little bit of a maybe slightly brighter color, yellow. Slightly bigger and could probably go higher resolution actually. Let's do that. Increase res. Get kind of a crappy feel to it. Alright. Alright, let's put a little bit of a kind of a hook or something over here. I don't know. Something like that. Constantly reminded of the, hey, it looks like that was painted on you. Which I don't know if that's a moniker of, like, saying you're low character or what, but whatever. Fuck that. People should be naked. Or can be whatever they want. It's just clothing, people. It's not a moral stance. Oh, that's all kinds of crap. Oh, oh, oh. Okay, let's put the color back on there. Oh. Alright, I got a lump over here. I'm going to remove the lump, and we'll see if this really is voxel. Seems like it actually is voxel. Ah! Oh. Ah, damn it. Where am I? Oh god. Oh no. You gotta be really careful about like whether or not you're on the right layer and scaling and shit. Alright. So I figured I'm going to talk about politics because obviously nobody's here, so why not? I'm actually kind of excited about the fact that, contrary to reporting, it seems like we actually had a blue wave, or a blue tsunami. There's a lot of Democrats that picked up seats in the House, and unfortunately the Senate looks like we lost one or two. But we needed to pick up like 5, and we only had like 7 or 8. I'm not sure exactly how many we had, but had to take. But it was basically gerrymandered to the point where the Senate does not represent the total population at all, and probably more looks like how the slave owning states wanted to have it back in the day when they ratified the Constitution. So my opinion is that we need to abolish the Electoral College, and we need to figure out this gerrymandering bullshit before the next census in 2010, because in 2020 rather, in 2010 is when the Republicans had taken over the House and the Senate, most of the House, and they redistricted through the governorships of the various states that they also took. And Secretary of States are also a very contentious aspect of that, because essentially if you're a Secretary of State, you can create a lot of problems for the voters at the ballot box when they actually get there. They may not know it until they get there, and that's pretty much your, if you're a partisan operative, you're there to make sure that it's very difficult to vote. And now, that isn't both sides doing that, by the way. That is actually currently only the Republican side. The Democrats have been known to do in like local politics, like Chicago comes to mind, very nefarious kind of shit. But that was before labor unions, and I mean we're going way back. When basically Democrats were essentially the slave party, and they were not actually the party that they currently are. Because if anyone's read their history, they would know that the parties have switched around who their constituencies are at least once or twice in the past. So that being said, currently the oligarchs and people who don't want labor to have any rights are running the Republican Party. And also the ones that are wanting to basically destroy our representative democracy are also running the Republican Party. They would much rather you didn't have the ability to even show up to vote, let alone, well, you don't actually have a right to vote. That is one of the problems we should probably address as soon as we can get enough of the Congress back. We need to get an inalienable right to vote. If you are a citizen of the country, from the time that you're 18, you should automatically, like selective service, not only have the right to vote, but registration is a Jim Crow law era bullshit machine. We do not need registration for voters. If you're a citizen, you should be able to vote. And another thing, voter suppression is a real problem, mostly in the southern states, the former slave states, and they knew that when they wrote the laws at the time. The Supreme Court got rid of those laws in, I believe, 2012? It might have been 2016, or 2014, I think. Anyway, the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 ruling, decided, you know what, we don't need to worry about that anymore. You don't have to have pre-clearance. You can basically change the way people vote in your state right up to the days before the election. Whereas before you had to actually obtain pre-clearance before you did any major changes. And thus they threw thousands, hundreds of thousands of people off of the voting rolls this time around. So it made it very hard to vote, very hard especially in areas that were black and retired people. Essentially anybody who doesn't drive anymore made it very hard for them to vote. And if they didn't vote in the last election or the election before that, there's also this other concept where they're like, well, those people are either dead or they moved away, so fuck them, just take them all off the rolls. And they literally did that in multiple states, mostly Republican states. I don't know of any Democratic states and there aren't any there aren't very many totally held Democratic states, but mostly the states that had Republican operatives running the elections made sure that they called away all the voters they possibly could, so that when they showed up to vote on that day, they would get the horrible realization that they were not registered to vote. And then they would be given a provisional ballot, which is essentially a placebo ballot because it doesn't get counted unless there's a runoff or there's a very close election, like we have here in Florida. And even then, they're probably going to say, oh, well, you shouldn't count those votes because they were put in too late, even though they are just provisional ballots. And also a problem with provisional ballots is that if you fill one of those out, being that you didn't have an original right to vote, you have to go check with your registrar the following 2 days, I think, 1 or 2 days, depending on what state, with the election authorities to say, hey, I have the right to vote. Please give me the right to vote. Please make my provisional ballot actually count towards the election. And all of those things tend to get just sort of thrown out, especially if it looks, well, it's close enough, Republicans won, so we don't need to count any more of the votes. Including the people from overseas, the veterans. We don't need to count their votes because we already won the election. So why do we need to count any more votes? That's literally what's going on here in Florida right now. So just letting you know how fucking awful your politics are here in the beautiful United States of America, spelled with a K. Alright, so we have a bustier of sorts, and I need to put some more doodads in here. Oh, wrong color. So let's sample that color. Alright. I'll just put a little rimmer down here. I really like the smell of incense while I while I sculpt. Definitely have to do this from now on. Let's see if I make a different shape here. Oh. Okay, I gotta take away the surface. Surfaces are taken on. Why is it? It's bumping for some reason. Have to stop wiggling. La la la. Alright, well, hopefully that'll look better when I clean it up in ZBrush. yesterday I watched a really weird movie from China. And back when I was trying to like discover online 3D printing for fun and profit, I went down the rabbit hole of discovering that there was a movie in China that basically went like gangbusters. It was doing as well as Shrek did in America, and it was done by the same person, I believe, as Shrek. So I was like, okay, well, it's something seemed to be very popular with the Chinese audience, and they keep on saying, oh, well, we're just going to try to get more Chinese commerce, and we need to trade more with China. And so I figured, well, why not put my idea online, maybe try to figure out how to get it into Chinese like the version of Chinese Facebook, which I forgot what it's called right now, but and essentially, just trying to make something for the Chinese market. So I looked in the movie, I looked into one of the main characters, and it's called Monster Hunt, and one of the main characters looks like a turnip. So I kind of made him into like a bit of a, what'd you call him? He was basically sort of like a turnip prince, and he had 4 arms, and he was really cute, and you could put some soil in his head and grow chia pet type stuff out of his head, which looked exactly like the character did in the show, the movie. So anyway, I put that up there, and Shapeways at the time was actually doing porcelain 3D printed objects, which are really cool. And they have since discontinued that. They didn't tell me any of that, and I just was like, well, I went there one day to my shop, and I was like, hey, why is this not 3D printable anymore? And essentially they just removed the ability to do ceramics, 3D printed ceramics, which I really am glad that I did 2 of those. Anyway, what I was trying to get at was that character and the movie are now available on Netflix, so if you type in Monster Hunt and you don't mind watching pretty much in all ages, mostly kid related, but it has some weird quirky things to it, of a somewhat sexual nature, which will be hard to explain, but to your kid. But you know what? Fucking do it. Just watch the thing with your kid and explain to them that's what's happening, and it's okay, and it's not weird. It's just a movie. Get the fuck over it. Because really, that's one of the problems I've definitely noticed, especially having worked on video games, for the children. This whole think of the children. Children fucking like dark, scary things. They like sex. I mean, really, kids like that stuff. I'm not saying that you should make any, that kind of stuff for them. I'm just saying that entertainment exists in other cultures, and we're so fucking prude over here that we basically don't get exposed to it until much later on in life, and therefore kind of miss out on, I don't know, stuff. I guess maybe since we're so prudish, that might be the reason why we have furries. Because people are like, oh, I like that furry thing. It looks kind of sexual in a way that my adolescent hormones are telling me I should be attracted to that because it's a male or female character, even though it's a cat or dog or I don't know. Like that's weird. But I mean, from our puritanicalness, that's where we get all our weird extra, I don't know, proclivities. To me, it's all just a marketplace of ideas, and if you're trying to say, oh no, you can't look at that thing, therefore you're trying to sell that thing, and it's supposed to be kept behind closed doors, and that's how you sell the thing to the people who are told at first they can't have it. They're not allowed to have it. And it's also really bad because it goes into the commodification of sexuality. Well, I'm just rambling tonight, and I've barely had anything to drink. Alright. Oh, that's not right. Ooh. Let's go and put our sphere back on there. Oh, actually, Now I think about it, maybe it shouldn't be a sphere. It should not be that. What do we want? We want it to go and solid. Alright. Doo-doo-doo. I still feel like I need to go high resolution. Increase res. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. Let's just go here. Ugh. That looks kind of cool. It's not even properly mirrored. I don't know. Okay, what is that? This looks like a little head or something. Let's try cat skull. Scroll all the way up to the cat skulls. There's a cat skull. I know because I recently used the cat skull. Kinda cool. There we go. Alright, let's see here. I should probably put some texturing into the raw. I could probably do this in ZBrush, but I should probably make the structure of the raw proper. Oops, wrong direction. Let's see here. Let's take this to a square. I'll get this edge shaved down a little bit. Alright, let's make some interesting patterns in her. Let's see if I can go into, no, I should probably just do this way. Random, oops. No. Oh. This is fun. Alright, let's try a different direction on this. on second thought, I think I'm going to just undo all of that. Maybe leave that. Yeah, I'm going to probably try to do a lot of this in ZBrush, because just undo all that. I think ZBrush is actually a better time, better place to be doing this. Alright. I think actually I need to take a break. Oops. Alright, I'll be right back. I can get some more. Okay, and we're back. So, what do we want to do now? We want to... maybe affix the armor up here. Good idea. Okay. Okay, there we go. Why is that? And I check my phone to see what's going on there. My nose. My nose knows that I am irritating myself. Alright, it's just me playing here, and nobody is contacting me on any kind of social media thingy. Oop. It'd be nice if I had actually all of this stuff like connected up inside. Nope, none of that. Why am I getting... I don't know what's going on. Alright, well anyway. I don't know what's going on. But what else is new? Alright. Sorry about that. Back to work. yeah, she's got black pants. Alright, let's do something with black. Maybe I'll do like a nice like scale mail or something. Change the secondary tool. Ah, okay, change the secondary tool by hitting this button. And then primary tool is that button. Alright. Hey. Because fuck yeah, she's got pockets. Needs pockets. Always should have pockets in your pants. Who makes pants without pockets? Only fascists. I have no idea what her butt looks like, so let's just improvise. She's wearing chaps. Oops. I'll fix that. That's getting way too intense. Gotta turn down the insanity. Just as it got like way out of control, then it got really quiet. As the insanity usually does. Alright. Let's see. Do a secondary. Actually, you know what? I need to get some more reference art just to make sure that this artist isn't skimping out on me. Okay, let's just grab that color, drag it over here. Oops. Yeah, I'm feeling very unable to control what I'm doing. It's not good. Well, at this rate, I don't think I'm going to make this sculpture in time for Holiday Matsuri like I was planning to. Since it's already November, and Holiday Matsuri is a month away. If I was planning on sculpting this and printing it and sectioning it into a bunch of molds so that I could then turn it into silicon molding, and honestly it's a lot of work that I haven't quite learned I'm not really that good at all the process yet, so it's probably going to take me at least 3-4 months before I get to that point. I've actually never done a fully kitted out resin sculpt. I've only did a one-time, one and done, and then a mold locked version of Rachel from Blade Runner. And I learned a lot from that sculpture, but unfortunately it is basically garbage. I cannot get any more castings out of it. I only got basically like 2. And then it began to fall apart because I had to cut things. And so I learned a lot, and I've learned a lot about creating jackets, 3D printed mold jackets for my sculptures. Even though I haven't quite done that, in actuality what I've done is created 3D printed molds to pour silicone into, and that was for prosthetics. But a lot of the stuff I learned in doing that I'm going to take forward into digital production pipeline version of resin kit making. And should use a lot less silicone and should be much more precise as far as how the mold goes together. And all those things are going to be much better as far as control and overall like part separation. I'm pretty much planning on doing it like the professional toy companies do. And I might even go as far as to, if I have a popular mold or popular sculpture, do ABS rotocasting into a high temperature 3D printed mold. And that way I can get very high-end sculptures without having to do all the resin and various other stuff. Oof. I don't know why, but I'm getting like tired already. It's already been an hour and I've only put pants on her and gotten her bra in place. So I'm going to take a break and play some video games, and I'll be back in about an hour, maybe half an hour. See you then. Bye.